There was an old man who was afraid of dying and leaving all his riches behind on earth. He had worked so hard for his wealth, and he wanted to be able to take it with him to heaven. He prayed day and night, pleading to be able to take his earthly possessions with him. Eventually, an angel appeared to him and said, "Sorry, you can't take all your wealth with you after death, but the Lord will allow you one suitcase. Fill it with whatever you wish." Overjoyed, the man got the largest suitcase he could find and filled it with pure gold bars. Soon afterward, he died, and he showed up at the gates of heaven. St. Peter, seeing the suitcase, said, "Hold on, you can't bring that in here with you." The man explained how God had given him special permission. St. Peter checked it out, and the story was verified. "Okay, come in. Look, I know it's none of my business, but I am so curious. Will you tell me what it is you so desperately want to bring into heaven?" The man smugly showed him all the gold bars he had packed carefully into the suitcase. Peter's mouth hung down in disbelief. "You brought pavement?" We laugh at the irony of the situation. The man discovers that what he had valued so much on earth ultimately proves to be valueless. The streets in heaven are paved in gold. Geheleth, the name translates preacher, uses another ironic image. The person who labors hard his whole life only to leave his wealth to heirs who never lifted so much as a finger. This somber text reinforces the gospel message that striving to amass wealth is truly vanity of vanities, futile and pointless. We visit the parable of another rich man in today's gospel. Jesus is concerned with human preoccupation with the things of this world. Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions. We must understand this is not a parable about money. It is a parable about values and what is important in life. It is a parable about priorities. The rich man in Jesus' parable had foolish priorities. His problem is not the wealth he accumulates. That's done honestly enough through good fortune of a bounteous harvest and hard work. His mistake is in thinking his wealth will provide him with the one thing he is seeking: security. So absorbed is he by his wealth that he is heedless of God, heedless of his fellow man, and heedless of the shortness of life. The man's sudden death is really not essential to this story. Even if the rich man had continued to live, he was already spiritually dead. His destiny, however, is controlled by death, over which the man has absolutely no control. If you were raised with Christ, seek what is above. The rich man in the gospel suffers from what Paul calls the greed that is idolatry. In the place of God, he honors and reveres his possessions. We must consider the consequences of this way of thinking as it applies to our own lives. Today, Jesus challenges us to re-examine our priorities and the way we use our possessions. He warns us against greed, the desire to possess more than we need and more than we can use. He warns us against building larger barns. Instead of growing rich for ourselves, Jesus invites us to grow rich in the sight of God. Each of us must ask ourselves, what do I really want? What is my prized possession? Where is my heart? St. Matthew writes elsewhere, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart be also." Real treasure is to be found in serving others out of love for God. We acknowledge that all we have is on loan, and that others have as much right to the things of God's creation as we do. When God prospers the work of our hands, we are provided with the means to serve others. The hungry are fed, the naked are clothed, the homeless are sheltered, and the good news is proclaimed to those needing to hear it. The numerous ministries we support here at the Cathedral, in the heart of the Syracuse diocese, testify to our commitment to live out the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Two opportunities appear in today's bulletin. Our food pantry across the street is in desperate need of toiletries, like toothbrushes and toothpaste, shampoo and deodorant, which are shared with needy people who live in our immediate neighborhood. Next week, Sister Diane Zygo, a sister of St. Joseph of Carondelet, that's Sister Maureen's order, will give us an opportunity to take part in the vital work of bringing Christ's name and message to the people of Peru. The heart follows its possessions like a magnet. If the treasure is material possessions, then the heart will chase after glitter and the enjoyment of things. If the treasure is God, the Christian heart bypasses other attractions until it rests in God. Above our tabernacle are the words, "Give me thy heart." Consider for a moment the adverbs, wholeheartedly and half-heartedly. Which would better describe how I give my heart to the Lord?